We'll switch gears right now. Talk about relationships and the idea of quiet quitting that could be spreading beyond the office, as now daters might be opting to simply go through the motions without being fully invested. Local professional matchmaker Natalie joins us from It's Just Lunch, D.C. to talk about quiet quitting. First of all, we always have, when the catchphrase is there, we know it's a real thing, right?
Right. Yes, this is a real thing, and it's shown up in the workplace. It started over TikTok not too long ago over the summer, and it spread like wildfire ever since. And now we are seeing it in the dating world.
So talk about that, because now that we're familiar with quiet quitting in the workplace, how does that translate into relationships?
So this has been happening forever. We just didn't have a term for it. And it's basically when one partner is going through the motions. They aren't really invested in the relationship, whether they're attempting to compartmentalize the relationship from work and their friendships. They're just not fully there. And it can, of course, be problematic when both partners aren't on the same page and one is more invested than the other.
So just to try to simplify this, if that one person that's not fully invested in the relationship, the quiet quitting part, are they just basically not putting effort in hoping that the other person ends a relationship so they don't have to?
Yeah, I mean, that's essentially what's going on here, and it's showing up in a variety of ways. So if you're sensing that maybe things are changing with your partner, you're feeling like they're pulling away, it can show up. You can actually really pick up on it. One way is if you feel like they're avoiding spending time with you. You noticed in the beginning of the relationship, you were, spending quality time together, and now they're cutting back and you're wondering what's going on. Of course, boundaries are important, right? Maybe don't be attached at the hip 24/7, but this could spell disaster if you're noticing that trend. Let's say you're spending time together and your partner is daydreaming more, like you're feeling, where are they? They don't seem present. They're thinking about other things. That's definitely a sign. And I will say my clients at It's Just Lunch, they absolutely will not put up with that on a date or in a relationship. You want someone who's fully invested, especially when you're together. Another sign is no more future talk. And I think not necessarily as far as your future marriage or getting your honeymoon plans, but they're no longer making plans for the upcoming weekend with you or future events. That's a sign that they're pulling away. Another way that you can pick up on this is, again, this is the quality time that you are together. There's less affection. So fewer hugs, or they're not holding your hand in public. Obviously, that could be a red flag. And lastly, when you're apart, the communication has dwindled. So less texting, less talking. That's obviously a sign that their head is somewhere else, their heart is somewhere else.
So Natalie, I have to ask you before we wrap things up, you're a matchmaker. Your job is to get people to come together, right? And you want that happy relationship between the two. In a scenario like this, the person who is just giving up the effort, right? They don't have that interest. But it's always two sides of the street, because the other person might be more vested in that relationship. And when we put our blinders on, and we don't want to lose that person, even if they're not showing interest in us. So if this is happening to somebody, what do you tell them? Do you say just cut it off? Or do you say that there are ways to I guess, maybe ensure that the person either is interested in you and not showing it the right way, or just cut bait and get out of this?
Right. I mean, that's a really good point, because it's all about communication. And that's why trusting your gut and having the conversation earlier on is important, because I think the longer you wait and things carry on and your partner starts to drift away further, the more difficult it is going to be to repair that connection. So, but definitely, I would recommend have the conversation. It's all about expressing your needs in that relationship, and also providing some real facts. This is how we were in the beginning. I was noticing this, and now this is what I'm seeing. What's going on? I want to be a supportive partner to you. Things like that, so that your partner knows where you're coming from, and if they're open to it, they will make that effort. If not, then you've had the conversation. It's time to move on.
Everybody's got to make a little effort. Hopefully everybody ends up happy. Natalie, thanks for joining us this morning. Natalie, matchmaker from It's Just Lunch, D.C. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
C36.
Bye.